Oh man, this is like the second or third time we have made a video in this vein, talking about the former Toronto Maple Leafs captain, John Tavares, and the idea of him and the New York Islanders. Dear John. I think that's what they said, right? What is that, Colleen Hoover? No. Is it Nicholas Sparks? I have no idea. You see, all romantic novels, some turned into movies aside, we did have ourselves a very interesting series of events go down over the past few days. It was the passing of the torch, you could say, from one to another, as Austin Matthews was granted the captaincy for the Toronto Maple Leafs, and John Tavares was stripped of that title. Now, the big discussion points that people have been bringing up in this entire moment revolve around the idea as to whether or not Tavares is going to leave, whether or not he's going to stay. Oh, he relinquished his captaincy, which indicates that he's going to leave. He doesn't want to stay anymore. And then others saying, oh, well, he relinquished his captaincy. This means that he's going to stay, but he's going to do so at a much cheaper deal. And while both of these arguments have very good supporting evidence behind them, at the end of the day, at the time of recording this audio at least, John Tavares does not have an extension. He will be a UFA in 2025. So, with all this in mind, it is only appropriate to go out there and talk about some of the options that do bestow the former Maple Leafs and Islanders captain. And in particular, that New York Islanders team has themselves some discourse that indicates that this would actually be a good idea. Let's go out there to an article published by Nexer Quickstan on EyesOnIsles.com. This was published 2 days ago, before the announcement of John Tavares passing the C over to Austin Matthews, talking about how a reunion with John Tavares could be a win-win for the Toronto Maple Leafs and the New York Islanders. The stripping of John Tavares' captaincy in Toronto opens the door for a reunion with the Islanders. If the price is right, the Isles could benefit from a tough business decision made by the Maple Leafs. Now, what exactly is the writer here, Nestor Quickstan, going out there and saying? Well, let's read the article. I'll leave a link in the description if you want to expand more on these ideas. We're just going to take a look at the main thesis here. Tavares should get his fair share of attention. However, given Tavares' contract and no movement clause, working out a trade will not be easy. But that's where the Leafs' loss could be the Islanders' gain. A reunion between the Isles and Tavares would not be as far-fetched as some might think. There's a long history between both sides, making a return to the island a smooth one for Tavares. The article then says here that Tavares and his presence would be very utilized on a team like the New York Islanders. They could use a forward, they could use up another center spot, it would be really good for them, etc., etc. And sure, the article then says here that I know what most Islanders fans are thinking, bringing back Tavares would be stupid, especially after the way he bolted in 2018 for Toronto. Yes, that's true, the move did sting. Some fans took Tavares' decision very personally. But let's not forget that hockey is also a business. Like any other business, savvy managers take advantage of their competitors' missteps. Knowing Lou Lamoriello, he will certainly kick the tires on John Tavares. Who knows? The Isles could get a motivated John Tavares for a bag of pucks or 2 sticks. If that's the price, the Isles would have to be crazy to pass up a chance to add Tavares for the right price. So not only is this article going out there and saying, hey, it's an inevitability that Lou Lamoriello goes out there and thinks about getting John Tavares back. He thinks about talking up Brad Treliving and asking what that price is going to be. Well, that price, as indicated by Puckpedia, is labeled out here by the writer as to potentially being no higher than a couple of mid-round picks, or perhaps a pick and a mid-level prospect. It's tough to envision the Leafs asking for a first-rounder or a top-tier prospect. As such, the Isles could move players like Simon Holmstrom or Oliver Wahlstrom in exchange for Johnny T. But the article then goes even crazier. Let me go out there on a limb for a second. Why not consider Jean-Gabriel Pageau in exchange for Tavares? A straight-up one-for-one deal might work for both sides. For the Isles, Tavares is an upgrade over Pageau in the third line. While it may seem ironic that Lee and Tavares could play together, Tavares instantly adds tremendous center depth behind Bo Horvat and Brock Nelson. For Toronto, Pageau comes in at a much lower cost and has 2 years left on his deal. That sort of gives Toronto more flexibility, making such a deal more of an option worth considering. And you know what? There's a little bit extra in the article. You could go out there and read that yourself. But I'll just go out there and say this. No matter what you think about the John Tavares situation and how it played itself out in New York, there is no way in hell this guy is going back to the Isles. Let alone for a Jean-Gabriel Pageau trade package, let alone for a mid-round pick and an extra late-round guy. That's not going to happen. And even if it did, the trade price of Jean-Gabriel Pageau as a one-for-one deal is astonishingly bad. Like, I get it, you could say that the contract plays into why John Tavares' value might not be seen as really equivalent to what a 60-point caliber guy in the NHL should be able to fetch. I mean, John Tavares this previous season had that amount of points, but he also had 80 points last year. He was a point-per-game guy. Is he capable of bouncing back? Who really knows? He only had 2 points in 7 games in the playoffs this year, which is admittedly very bad. So while it is true that Tavares is making a lot more money than he should be year by year, dollar by dollar, I don't think he's that bad that you would negatively impact his value with that cap hit and say, hey, he is now all of a sudden the same value in the market as Jean-Gabriel Pageau. I mean, Pageau had 40 points last year, 33 points this most previous year, and he's making significantly less, $5 million till the end of 2026, but I don't know, man, he's still kind of overpaid too. Is that really the kind of deal that the Toronto Maple Leafs would really consider? No, it's just the article written from the Isles' perspective, trying to improve their team and make their squad better by taking a guy that's overall position in the lineup could be replaced in JG Pageau and saying, hey, let's just get a better player in John Tavares and upgrade that way. Sure, the Leafs will get some cap savings, but the magnitude as to how much they're saving from 1 year to literally just that, because JG Pageau expires in 2026, John Tavares' contract is over in 2025, that's an extra year's worth of $5 million that the Maple Leafs would have to handle if they were to make a trade like this. It just doesn't make any sense, but I do want to go out there and bring this up on YouTube, because with all the buzz talking about John Tavares and him relinquishing the captaincy, maybe he comes back, maybe he doesn't, maybe by the time this video is public on YouTube, he has a contract extension, who really knows, things change quickly in the hockey world. But with all these possibilities in mind, I want you to let me know your thoughts in the comment section. How do you feel about the idea of a John Tavares trade back over to the New York Islanders? Do you think it's a realistic idea to even consider Johnny T, the liar, the cheater, the snake, the fake, returning back over to the Isles once more? And is JG Pageau an appropriate trade return to make it happen? I'm saying probably not, but I want you to let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. 99 Isles fans, Leafs fans, the article will be linked in the description. You can go nuts with that in their comment section as well. And bye.